practice of welcoming our authors not with presentation of flowers, because my vision says if you pluck the flower, I belong to one person and I die next day. If you let them remain where they are, they survive. So we would like to present you with our publications. I'll request Sahitya Singh Nag, our Vice President, to present a copy of the book. Here this is. Somebody, Armit, can somebody help? Nag samjhna, then Nikki no. Professor Nikky-Guninder Singh, ek la do, acha la ja, naal duji ek photographer. Dr. Brar, General Rajinder Singh, ठीक, yeah, it's better, yeah. इत्थे आ जाओ डॉक्टर ब्रार, इत्थे आ जाओ डॉक्टर अनीता जी तुसीं भी आ जाओ तरलोचन सिंह जी ते ऊपर आ जाओ फोटो खिंच ली नहीं चंगा रहेगा थोड़ी तकलीफ होएगी तुहानूं आ जाओ फिर चले जाना थोड़े ओके टेक ए गुड फोटोग्राफ बट अगे आ जाओ थोड़ा किवें करी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स आ गए रस्ते च एंड मदन गोपाल जी फोटो खिंचवा लो नाल चंगा लगेगा सर नहीं नहीं अगे अगे एक पीछे बैनर नहीं आ रहा अनीता जी अनीता जी पीछे साइड चले जाऊंगा मैं इतनी नहीं आनी फोटो नहीं आनी जैसे रेयर निक्की दे नाल Brar, Dr. Brar, Sujlana.
Such a long time.
Yes. And Sujlana. Janamsakhi. डॉक्टर वेर सिंह जी आओ जरा फोटो खिंचा ली चंगा लगेगा होगी नहीं फोटो नहीं सारे तो अच्छी फोटो होनी चाहिए We were preparing a documentary and then we were short of good photographs because Mrs. Brar nu request karo. Changa lagega na. Because Nikki is going to, aajo please aajo. Aajo, Geeta ji aajo. Now, Bitu, it doesn't make sense. Thank you very much and sorry for the inconvenience. Now, before I request the three distinguished authors to talk about their books, I would like to request Ms. Anita Singh and Tarlochan Singh, please stay on the. They release the book. Can you bring a copy of this new book, Deepak, and Janamsakhi's book? Anita ji, ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਜਾਓ. Nikki, ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਜਾਓ. Janamsakhi, please आ जाओ, आगे आ जाओ. Dr. Brar. बहुत है दोनों आ जाओ फिर कवर ला देना प्लास्टिक कवर ला देना Before I request my colleague, Dr. Rupinder Singh, I'd like to say a few words by way of small welcome. Nikki wants to be known as Nikki, but we all know in the present day Sikh world, she is the tallest of the scholars. We all know. There's no debate, dispute about it. A brilliant scholar, daughter of a very brilliant, most respected scholar, Professor Banda Singh. We're glad she's carrying on the legacy of Professor Banda Singh. I decided that I will not talk about Sardar Sahib. We used to call him Sardar Sahib because the moment I think of him, I become emotional. And it's difficult to control emotions. But one thing I saw Nikki when she was really Nikki, living on the first floor of Rajinder Palace in Barandari. Sardar Sahib as the founder registrar, who used to wonder what has happened. At 10 sharp, Dr. Ganda Singh will leave that area at back of the registrar's office and go to his office. Sardar Sahib will stand like this. I couldn't understand what is happening. This man stands up at 10 sharp and then sits. I asked him, you were really scared. He says, Sardarji means Dr. Ganda Singh. Dr. Ganda Singh was very punctual. If he was late, he never was late. If he was early, he'll wait for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and Sardar Sahib. And second thing, Sardar Sahib made a very good choice. You're noble, we are ordinary people who make ordinary choices. I'm witness to Sir Prakash Singh Badal, sitting with him, requesting me to take over as Vice Chancellor. He says, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਰਹੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਬਾਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਵਿਹਲਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਬੈਠੇ ਰਹੋ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਖਾਣਾ ਰੋਜ਼ ਖਵਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਬੀਬੀ ਜੀ ਅੱਛਾ ਖਾਣਾ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਬਾਦਲ ਦੇਖ ਰਿਹਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੀ ਅਮਰੀਕ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੈ ਮੇਰਾ ਦੋਸਤ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਾਓ ਬਣ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਵਾਈਸ ਚਾਂਸਲਰ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾੜਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਕਿ ਕਮਾਲ ਹੈ ਲੋਕ ਭੱਜਦੇ ਨੇ ਵੀਸੀ ਬਣ ਲਈ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਭੱਜਦੇ ਬਾਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾ ਕਰਤੇ I think he was a very, very wise man. He made a wise decision. There are so many vice chancellors who don't know their names. But Professor Banda Singh, because of his having completed his Encyclopedia of Sikhism in 4 volumes, he lived so long as Sikh scholarship is alive. So to me, he made a good choice. And I'm very happy to see this bright Nikki is carrying on that legacy of Professor Banda Singh. She had many offers here and there. She says, no, I'm happy with my Colby college. So good. But she's carrying on good work. Now, about the book, I'm not competent to talk, 2 books. But I'm really happy that doctors, engineers, and army officers are coming to take up this Sikh history. I'm reminded of an African proverb, unless the lions have their own historians, history of the hunt will always be that of the hunter. Now I'm glad, I'm thankful to you, non-professional, because you have shown a lot of devotion. And I hope and pray you continue this work. I think 2 days later, you are going to have another function where we'll talk in detail about the book. I like to say only one thing. Nikki has done a great service. This B40 Janamsakhi was earlier published by Guru Nanak Dev University. They say in a painting, the painter explains something in one painting which a writer writes in maybe 100 words. But to be able to read that painting, you need Nikki's brain, Nikki's mind. So Nikki has done this great service by explaining each and every painting, which was missing in the earlier edition published by Guru Nanak Foundation, Guru Nanak Dev University. And again, the Rollies, I thank the Rolly publishers, they had made it a good book, worth keeping, and a part of the heritage. And as I mentioned earlier, these 2 great doctors and army generals, they have paid tribute to a great general. I like to call Banda Bahadur a great general, who in the words of Dr. Ganda Singh, taught the people, oppressed people, how to fight, how to conquer, and how to establish Khalsa Raj. Before we confuse the Khalsa Raj with the present Khalsa Raj, I must clarify. Guru Gobind Singh says, what is my mission? Jahan gayo ta dharam chalayo, kubat karante lok hatayo. Simple. Where I go, I'll chastise the evildoers, the evil Nawab Wazir Khan was chastised and finished. Sir Hind, which was the biggest city, Sir Hind, the Sir, reduced, I mean, it's never been able to come back to glory because of Banda Bahadur. So I'm thankful. I would like to talk more because some of my friends have come to listen to Madan Gopal, and Nikki was so excited. He says, Veer ji, book baaz kar lange pehla Madan gaan deo. Madan says, no, it's a book release. So I request Nikki to talk about her book. Later on, the two gentlemen can decide 50-50 or maybe one on both. So then we'll have, I think it's better that Tarlochan Singh gives the presidential comments and Anita ji says a few words in the beginning, or Anita ji has to leave somewhere. Okay, thanks, fine. Fine, so I welcome Nikki.
Thank you very, very much. Are we having that little PowerPoint?
Yeah, everything is in.
I know. My father used to say, no shoes? What? Oh, no. He used to say, Dr. Minder Singh, they come. Bade pakke hunde ne. And so that's what he is, and I've known him for so many years. He's been my older brother, and it's an absolute joy to be here. It's really coming home and to see my Pabi, who gives me a lot of love and puts me on her lap and things that I don't get sitting in America. Anyway, I am absolutely thrilled to be here. Thank you very much. And I had not seen my book, which I had been working on for a long time, and I just spotted it. So this is a very auspicious moment for me, and I am very, very, very happy. And I welcome everybody. Thank you. As I said, I live in America, so coming here, seeing my cousins, seeing my very dear friends, it's such a treat, such a treat. So today, I guess, can we get started with the, do we have? Pehli laga do. So what I want to talk about is Alam Chand Raj, who is the artist for the 57 paintings that come from the B40 Janamsakhi. Now this is a very important Janamsakhi because it is historically documented. We have the date when it was done, 1733. We have the patron, we have the scribe, and we have the artist. The names, everything is there. So we will get into that. But I'm also at the Bhai Veer Singh Sadan, so I cannot help but think of Dr. Sahab Bhai Veer Singh ji. And so what I want to do today is actually, I'm really a little lost. We arrived. My dear, I have to thank my dear Gorki Veer. He and my Pabi Minnie, they are the ones who are behind this. I would not have come. I just happened to call them. There's the Jaipur Literary Festival. My book is going to be on a panel. Will you come? Oh, yes, we will come with you. So this trip, I owe it to them, and I'm very, very grateful they are here. They made it all possible, and, you know, this is really friends and family. So we arrived, I think, like 5 in the morning, and then we went to Bangla Sahib, and utte aasa diwar ho rahi sigi, oh sun ke assi aaye, thoda ja sutte hain. So I'm a little lost, but what I want to talk about is basically 3 things. One, that I just finished a translation of Guru Nanak. Number 2, the book that I was working on, because this was my pandemic passion. I could not do anything else. I was sitting at home, could not see friends. What better than to look at the Janamsakhi paintings and think about them? Number 3, I'm here at the Bhai Veer Singh Sadan. So Guru Nanak, the poet, how is he translated? How did I translate? I won't talk about that. I'll do that for Jaipur. Here I want to focus on how he translated Guru Nanak's poetry through the language of colors, visually. That's what he's doing. And Bhai Veer Singh, how he translated Guru Nanak's poetry through his own poem, through his own poetry. So are you with me? So Guru Nanak being translated visually and Guru Nanak being translated poetically by Bhai Veer Singh. The English translation, you can buy my book online from Harvard. Okay, so do we have the first one? So why is this very important to me? And there are 5 points I want to share with you as quickly as I possibly can. Number 1 is aesthetics. This is something we have forgotten. I remember reading Professor Athar Singh. He lauding the Sikh tradition We are, Sikh tradition, our gurus were so aesthetic, and we do not pay attention to Sikh aesthetics. We go into doctrines, we go into ethics, we do all that, but the aesthetic part is not there. Actually, that was first time was Dr. Sher Singh, our philosopher, the first book on Sikh philosophy that came in 1949 or something. Professor Sher Singh, he wrote that book. That's what he said. Then Professor Atar Singh reiterated him after Guru Nanak's, they celebrated his 500th birth anniversary in 1969. Lots of institutions are being established, books are coming, so forth. Again, Dr. Atar Singh said, we are not paying attention to aesthetics. So now I am saying it after all those years, after 50 years later again, we need to pay more attention to aesthetics, whether it is musical, whether it's literary, whether it's visual, we need to bring into focus. And somehow, aesthetics has a very negative terminology, some kind of these associations. Oh, there's religion, and then there is ethics, and aesthetics, who cares? That's just, kind of poetry and so forth, art, sitting in museums. No. I think for Guru Nanak, he is the founder of the Sikh tradition, and to me, that is what is unique about the Sikh tradition, the aesthetics. What is Guru Nanak's verse? Ape rasiya, ape ras, ape ravan har. And he considered, so ape ras, that aesthetic sense of joy, that aesthetic joy, that bliss that is there, that spirituality is not out in the heavens. It's not a concept. It's not a doctrine. It is an experience. It was all affect. It was that aesthetic experience. And he said it himself. Saas maas sabjiyo tumhara, tumhe khara pyara. He called himself a poet, shair. He called himself a tadi. How tadi ve kar kare laya. He was the songster, musician. And I think he was also the jeweler, because at the final body of the Japji Sahib is Sunyardi, Jat Pahara Tiraj Sunyar. And I somehow, although he does not quite spell it, whereas the others are autobiographical, he calls himself a poet, he calls himself a tadi, but the book that I'm working on, the aesthetics, there I see as the jeweler, Guru Nanak working, showing us how to craft ourselves, how to make this life a work of art. So how to live artfully, that's really it. Going to our artist, he is relaying that message. Surta likhiyan atam apne the Alamchand Raj. He's the painter. So that's what we are doing. Odiyan likhiyan huiyan surtan. How are they interpreting Guru Nanak's aesthetics? And then Bhai Veer Singh, how is he doing it poetically? So this is my pandemic passion, B40 Janamsakhi. This was the accession number given by the British Library. That's where it is. And it's dated, as you can see, 1733. For other Janamsakhis, we don't have this kind of historical documentation. That's why it makes it such a unique manuscript. Patron is Sangumal, and scribe is Dayaram. He's the one who did all the writing, and then the illustrator is Alamchand Raj, and he comes from the family of, Tarkhans, carpenters who were very good artists, and Ram Singh, for example, who did the Darbar Hall for Queen Victoria in Osborne Hall. So he's one of them. So very good artist. That's kind of the whole tradition that he's carrying on. So what I want to say is, the whole thing is, why was it created? Ode chanda hai B40 Janamsakhi vich, in one of the colophons, Sangat di khushi lai. So it is for the joy of the Sangat, khushi. And this is something to be shared. Art, music, literature. Guru Nanak why did he write poetry? He didn't give lectures. So everybody would, and that was sung. So everybody could come together. That's how a community is established. Bhai Gurdas says that too. In the morning, Jap was recited, and in the evening, Sohila. People sang, people came together. That's how we started. That's the origins of the Sikh tradition. Community, communitas, how do we come together? It's that music, it's that emotional, and that's where the Sangats are, and that's how they have been created, and that's how history has passed around. And Khushi Karni ji. And here I want to think about Bhai Veer Singh, because that's what he's doing too. Remember that poem of his, Jeevan Ki Hai? So where the woman is looking for what is life all about? And she goes day after day, she's going through this very emotional angst and kind of not knowing, I'm here. What's this life all about? This meaningless of life. It's a very philosophical poem. I looked at it, I did a very good analysis of it years ago in my first book. But I'm just remembering it now, and how what was important was all that time that she was in anxiety. Ultimately, she comes across Kheda. And I'll read you a passage from Bhai Veer Singh's Kheda. So this is the finale, when she has this kind of revelation. Tanman khiva, kheda pipi, kheda sari hoi, kheda te apa ik hoye, lunu gai paroi, kheda te apa. Udron blossoms ho rahe ne, te apa ik ho gaye, kheda dil da, kheda tan da, kheda sarvar wala. Sab khede ik roop ho gaye, khede paniya pala. हेठा ऊपर चार चफेरे की अंदर की बाहर खेड़ा खेड़ा होई सारी की बातन की ज़ाहर batan zahar, these are very important concepts in Sufism. Something is hidden, something is exterior, everything is visible. What is hidden, here she is, everything is known to her, revelation. So ਉੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਛ. So this kind of aesthetic sense, ਕੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਰਸ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦਾ, ਵਿਸਮਾਦ. This is kheda. Or khushi jo sangat ਲਈ ਜਿਹੜੀ for the consumption of the 1733 sangat ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪੋਥੀ ਬਣਾਈ. So that was all for this aesthetic joy. ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੀਗੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਗਏ, ਆਸਾ ਦੀ ਵਾਰ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ? What is Guru Nanak's main ras? Vismad. Vismad upon Vismad pani, Vismad agni, khede vidani, Vismad tarti, Vismad kani, Vekh vidan, Rya Vismad, Nanak bhujan, pure paag. He's wonder-struck. That's the whole wonder. And that beauty is being conveyed visually by the artist in these paintings. One other, if I may digress for a second, something was irking me for many, many years. And that was MacLeod had made a comment in his book in 1989 or something on the history, Sikh something. It's a three title, his title of his book. It came out from Columbia in 1989. And there he said, Janamsakhis are just little miracles, this will destroy the Sikh tradition. These are lethal. That's the word he used. And that's been irritating me. I remember, And so to me, these Janamsakhis, this is our food. This is everything to us. This is how we grew up. This is so much a part of our, whether we are sitting on our mother's laps early on or later on, they are the ones. And can we go on to the next one, please? Next slide. Agli wala. So this I took from my father's book, Guru Nanak. And it's quite interesting. The lives of prophets have been comprehended by their followers through such marvelous acts, and they signify the quality of their extraordinary power. The stories in the Janamsakhis can be read at different levels of meaning, and the symbolism underlying them variously elaborated. So these are not just one, this means this. I have analyzed it. You read them yourself, you will find something more there. Your children, your friends, somebody from America, somebody from Europe may see something else. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of poetry. That's what Guru Nanak left us. I did a translation, but that's not it. Because there's just so much there. These are endless. It's so many possibilities. And that's the beauty of it. And these stories can be read at any level. And to me, these are not lethal. This is our very life. And these miracles differ from Western semantic sense. They are based on the aesthetic principle of Vismad, generated by Guru Nanak himself. From the Sanskrit root sme, the word is etymologically related with the Greek median, which means to smile, and Latin miraculum, to wonder. So that's what the word miracle is. So rather than focus on the protagonist's supernatural grandeur, his wondrous performances strike upon the inner eye and play upon the imagination of his audience. That's what I think is the basis of the Janamsakhis. It's not showing us Guru Nanak's supernatural acts. Of course they're there, but the Guru was making empowering us, you and me, doing something to us, rather than, so these are not miracles, so-and-so did that. Something is happening to us, and that's how we need to read the stories. So let's look at, I think I have just 3 or 4. Next one, please. Okay, now these are my, I'll come back to it. So these are my basic 5 points, okay? Number 1, aesthetics. Number 2, rasa. What's a rasa? It's vismad, keda, and the third one is the rule of the senses, because how do we, that's something we put down. And I found our translators doing too. Soul is very important. Heaven is very important. Our bodies, this is who we are. We wouldn't be there. We wouldn't breathe. We wouldn't live. We wouldn't think. We wouldn't love God or anything if we didn't have our body. So the emphasis on the senses, that's very important. And art for a global Sangat. So this is, we don't need to just keep it amongst the Sikhs. These are stories are for the world. The poetry of Guru Nanak, the Guru Granth Sahib, is for the world, not just in our gurdwaras and not just here, and not to be limited. We can't recite Guru Nanak somewhere or something. This should be brought to the public. That's my goal. I'm sorry, I don't want to be sacrilegious, but these are, Guru Nanak, the poet, is just phenomenal. And he has to reach the world. And everybody should do their best to make it known how great that poet is, however many translations, whatever, just to keep it ourselves. This is the sacred world, this is it, Of course he's sacred, of course all that. But we have to, he was for the secular man. He wanted secularity. Sacred and secular were not two different worlds. So we need to, share that. So that's for global. So I really want it to be read and seen by the world, not just amongst Sikhs. So please invite others to join us, and the environmental justice, because when you see these paintings. Next, please. Agla. Where's the painting? Oh, we have the book. We didn't get the painting here? Or is it coming? Well, I can just show the painting. Right? Where's the book? Thank you. So I have them all, paintings. No? There should be one somewhere here. Anyway, so you saw the painting. Well, you should get my book. So thank you very much. So there are 57 illustrations, and so this is the cover of it. And I really wanted it because there aren't too many female figures that we see in the Janamsakhis, but this one is, it's a very beautiful story because Guru Nanak is on his, travels with Bhai Mardana, and they've been traveling, and then they come back, and Guru Nanak does not want to visit his home because it was so painful, because when he left the first time, mom and dad were very, very upset. Okay. And what does that say? I think I better get going. I'm taking too much time. So what I want to show is that it's an affirmation of the world. बहुत खूबसूरत, it's a bani that's going on. No. Maybe this. Yeah. No. I want this one. This one. Anyway, so you see that. So this one is, Bhai Mardana is playing. So he goes to the, anyway. What's happening is, the narrative is, Guru Nanak does not visit home. And Bhai Mardana goes, and Guru Nanak tells him, don't tell my parents. But the mother, she's so smart. She knows Mardana is hiding something from her. And so she runs, and she takes some sweets, and she takes some clothes, and she runs there. And Father Kalu comes after her on the horse. And so what he's doing is what our artist is showing is everything. You can see, oops, forget it, it's too complicated. And this goes with, so the Janamsakhi becomes a stage to exemplify Gurbani. So this is the Vak, over which everything is like everything, food. You see the food here, laddu and so forth, sare paine, is perfectly, everything is very, very acceptable. Guru Nanak is affirming, validating everything we eat, sab taste, sare chatti prakar de, all of this is validated. Very important. Kapde, to wear, that's very important. So there are clothes there. both of them, these artists, the poets, are saying it's deep, deep, deep inside. The next, please. Next. I think we just have, maybe we looked at all of them, right? Maybe I'll just, role of the, in order to see these, in order to read Guru Nanak's poetry, we need to, the third point that I was making is we need our senses to be refined. And Guru Nanak, Bhai Veer Singh has a very beautiful poem, Saiyan Di Syan. Yaad hai thanu? I'll just read a little bit since I'm at the Bhai Veer Singh Sadan. Saiyan Ji Di Syan. ਇਹ ਕੌਣ ਆਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਸਾਈਆਂ ਦੀ ਸਿਆਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਈਆਂ ਸਿਆਣ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਨੈਣਾ ਵਾਲੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ Who says you cannot be recognized, my divine one? And keep in mind, Sujay Bujay is very important in the Guru Granth Sahib. That's Guru Nanak's. What's the whole process? Sujjana, Bujjana. Rasiya hove muskaka, tab phul pachana. Only the person who can smell the rose knows. So pachanana, to recognize, and you have to put your senses into gear. They are the ones. So Bhai Veer Singh keh rahe ne, mere saiyan syan lende han naina wale tenu. Teri dul dul pair rahi sundarta to. Your beauty all around, jo Guru Nanak ji keh rahe si. Vismad naad, vismad vid, vismad sara kush, vismad pawn, pani, everything is around you. Jo nazariyan to nazaran te pendi hai. From the landscapes, from the visual, from out there, strikes our eyes. Nazaran to, nazariyan to, nazaran te pei. ਸਿਆਣ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਕੰਨਾਂ ਵਾਲੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਤੇਰੀ ਸੰਗੀਤਕ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਗੂੰਜ ਤੋਂ so those who have ears, those who can hear your word, ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ they recognize you. ਹਾਂ ਉਛਲ ਕੁੱਦਣ ਨੱਚਦੀਆਂ ਸੁਗੰਧੀਆਂ ਸਿਆਣ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਮਗਜ਼ਾਂ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੇਰੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਈਆਂ ਹਾਂ ਉਛਲ ਕੁੱਦੀਆਂ ਨੱਚਦੀਆਂ ਉਛਲ jumping ਕੁੱਦਦੀਆਂ bouncing ਨੱਚਦੀਆਂ dancing ਸੁਗੰਧੀਆਂ the fragrances ਸਿਆਣ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਮਗਜ਼ਾਂ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੇਰੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਈਆਂ ਫਿਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੱਖਰੇ so he goes on, he does it for all the 5 senses and all of them are kind of creating the union between the individual and the divine one ਮਿਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਨਦੀ ਸਾਗਰ ਤੇ ਸੰਗਮ ਵਾਂਗੂ so through the senses you meet with the divine one. So that's that, and I also wanted to share with you, I think I better end here because I've been doing a lot. I want to give time to my other colleagues. So just to wrap up my 5 points, so the number 1 was aesthetics, number 2, ras, number 3, our role of the senses, number 4 was building of the community. ਕੁਤਬ ਦੀ ਲਾਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪੋਇਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਦੇਖੀ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈ who knows you may have ਕੁਤਬ ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਸੈਮਿਟਿਕ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਰ ਜਦ ਸੁੰਦਰਤਾ ਆਵੇ ਡੁੱਲਦੀ ਪਵੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣਾ ਮਾਨੇ so ਅਸਲ ਨਸਲ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਜਾਣੇ ਜਦ ਸੁੰਦਰਤਾ ਦੀ ਪਵੇ ਸਭ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਾਣੇ so when beauty strikes everybody takes it. And the 5th point I wanted to bring was about environmental justice. When you see those beautiful paintings of all 57 illustrations have beautiful birds, mangoes, fruits, it's just such beautiful one after the other. Alam Chand Raj has done a gorgeous job of painting those illustrations. They are so colorful. How can we be mean to nature? How can we do anything? And Bhai Veer Singh has a very, very beautiful poem on gulab de phul todan wale nu dali nalon todna sanu asa hat mehkdi lai lak gahik je sunge aake khali kise na jaye. So do not pluck us. Because we have started a store of fragrances of this beauty. Leave it alone. And if you take it, we will die. But otherwise, everybody has access to it. So again, that whole concept of togetherness, pluralism, that was important to Guru Nanak, and that is conveyed by Alam Chand Raj, because you see protagonists, Hindu, Muslims, Sikhs, Siddhs, Naths, all kinds of people. And he's never derogatory to anybody. He inspires people. He gives them the power to do things. So this is not Guru Nanak's, miracles in that sense. It's how do we read them? How do we sense them so we can be empowered ourselves? That's the poem. That's the visual artist. And that's what Bhai Veer Singh is doing. Thank you, everybody, for being here today.
Well, friends, you'll agree with me while talking about Nikki. I was not indulging in any hyperbole. She can keep you spellbound for hours together, but her choice is that my other two friends, they shall also speak. Now, before I request a cardiologist and a general to speak, I like to quote one small incident. Here in this very hall, our mentor Kuldeep Nair wrote a book in Punjabi. Mainu hanera kyun nahi disda? कौन रिलीज करे? मैं कहा जी अर्जुन सिंह फर्स्ट मार्शल ऑफ द एयरफोर्स। वो मनते नहीं पर नैयर ना नहीं कर सके। मैं जाके गोडे फड़ के मैं कहा जी आ जाओ। उन्हें कुछ नहीं किया, मैं टैक्स लिख के दो, नॉर्मली कहते डमी लिख के दो। इतने आए, बड़ा हॉल पैक्ट। कहते वी इन दी सर्विसेज आर taught not to give lectures but to take action. So now you come please and take action on your book.
Thank you, Dharamyudh Singh ji. And this is such an august place, and I'm in presence of so many people, some of them my heroes. And I don't know what I can do after Nikky-Guninder Kaur spoke. So I had some thoughts in mind, but I think I'll probably change it because I don't want to take too much time either. So first of all, Professor Minder Singh ji, thank you, Dharamyudh Singh ji, Tarlochan Singh ji, Madan Gopal ji, I mean, it's an honor, Anita ji. Okay. So, about our book, it's what business does a physician and a journal have to write about history? I mean, historians over here. So my book is dedicated to students I teach. I'm a physician by training. I'm a director of a Cardiovascular Institute. But on Sunday, in Yuba City, there's one of the oldest Sikh communities in California. So I teach students. So thoda bahut Sikh history sunauna hai, and they have taught me so much because they ask tough questions. So I had to learn something, and that is where the book comes from. So the other reason is, fortunately, this is a good time for Sikh diaspora. As well as their footprint is increasing, and there is increased interest in Sikhi all over the world. And fortunately, there are 6 chairs in Canada, United States, in America. And because of that, there's an increased interest in what Sikhi is all about. With interest has come some scrutiny also. There are non-Sikh trained historians looking at what do they know about Sikhi, and why should we know about Sikhi? And several paradoxes have been reported, and we wanted to address that. I mean, one of the paradoxes they say is, Sikhi is a faith unique among all the scriptures. Guru Granth Sahib is probably one of the most peaceful scriptures. And here we have these militant community basically taking his name and going in his name. The other thing they say is that, they talk about some doctrine of war. So every religion has an idea of what is a just war. And though there were 2 scholars, they wrote for Canadian Journal of Armed Forces, and they said for all the militancy, Sikhi does not have any theory of war. So I would like to quote here, So, okay, despite the importance of armed forces for the Sikhs and a strong emphasis on a martial culture, they lack a theological foundation of ethical use of force. Foundations found in other traditions like Christian figures like St. Augustine, St. Thomas, Aquinas, because of which there is a lack of authoritative voice from within the community on the subject. So this was something that, we had to address. The other part is there is a long-held belief, and Panji mentioned that a little bit, by ek paase Sikhi hegi hai Guru Nanak, the interior religion, and somehow it became a militant religion, and that has something to do with maybe Guru Gobind Singh and Guru Hargobind, जिन्होंने Sikhi that nature change karta. So the doctrine changed somewhere around, and this is something not everybody accepts that, but I'll quote 3 different people from 3 different backgrounds, how they looked at Sikhi. So Mahatma Gandhi is believed to have said Guru Gobind Singh was a misguided patriot. He was put onto it. I don't want to go into the controversy, but this was Gandhiji had said. Tagore greatly admired Guru Gobind Singh. He had gone to Harmandir Sahib, and this is what he had to say. The last Guru of the Sikhs checked the work of preaching the religion to the mankind and made it his life's mission to form the Sikhs into a strong body. He it was who turned the sect into a large army, but left the seat of Nanak vacant. Now, these are great charges. Third is Arnold Toynbee. I mean, I don't have to introduce Toynbee, the 20th century's premier historian. And he had written scriptures in the UNESCO as an introduction to Sikhi. And he somehow disapproved of Guru Hargobind's actions. And he says Guru Hargobind violated the spiritual trust his predecessors had by entertaining vulgar worldly ambitions, because of which Sikhi fell from the heights down to the political trough. Now, obviously, such things to, very impressionable young children, some of us have to answer. And unfortunately, the only historian they could make do was me in the town. So these are some of the things that we bring it over. So rather than going into a lot of things, General Sujlana is here, and I'm so proud of him that he drove all the way to come over here. He wasn't supposed to be here, so I'm not going to talk about Banda Bahadur, let him be there. But then come back. So one of the ideas we did convey in the book is that there is no break between Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh. There is a direct line thematically. The 2 ideas stand out in Sikh idea of war. Some of your students may write this, the Sikh idea of war, but the themes that we found was Do Hygienik Dharma and martyrdom. They start with Guru Nanak, go all the way Guru Gobind Singh, and then obviously Banda, as Professor Madan Singh said, the great historian. So that connection between, there's a thematic unity within the entire Guru period, and the 2 themes, Dharma and martyrdom, they run parallel, they crisscross internally, externally, socially, spiritually. As Guru Nanak first declared, Dharti is Dharamsal, fearlessness is the key. The only fear you have is life lacking naam, life without conscience. So that connection, I'm sort of motivated, and I know there's one person here who doesn't know I was going to say this. I want to quote one historian, a writer who said this about the continuity, about Vichitra Natak and continuity from Guru Nanak. The Vichitra Natak honors the sword for comfort and good, scaring away evil. Infirmities of psyche like ego, deceit, desires are won over by the sharp, shining sword. She is eternal, light, Jyotamandam. She is most powerful and luminous, Tej Prachandam. And then she says, the geographical battlefields of Vichitra Natak could well be our own bodies, where contrary forces are at war with each other. And the sword is used to get rid of internal pathogens and afflictions. And the author who wrote that is my sister, Nikky-Guninder. I read these lines many years ago, and I feel humbled here in Bhai Veer Singh Sadan, but I wrote a small poem also today, it came into my mind when I read it. And I called the poem Jai Tegang. And this is how it goes. This is for my students, by the way. Forged in the dark age, sanctify the blood of martyrs, tempered by spirituality of the saints. It was a thing of beauty, all steel, a blade with a purpose. Not a royal scimitar of an earthly king, to adorn a regal side or to twinkle in reflected rays, but Asi, an object of veneration and wisdom, glowing in its own light, razor sharp its edge, to cut through the veils of illusion and days. Not an instrument of belligerence, nor subservience, subversion, tyranny tyranny or treason, but it was pagoti, an angry, hungry steel of discontent, of indignation, challenge, change, and growth in the hands of those able and willing and wise to understand that retribution is not reform, vengeance is not justice. A khanda for those charging the boa constrictor deep in the forest belly of the beast, to rip the dead wood beneath their feet, hack away the parasitic vines above, so freely may the young shoots bloom, savor equally the warmth of the Indian sun. So this is my dedication to Panji. So General Sujlana is here. I don't want to take too much time. He's going to introduce my book.
Thank you, Rupinder. To start with, let the respected Professor Mahendra Singh ji and all the respected scholars who are sitting here, what a delight it is for me to be here this morning to say a few words. Well, when this book that we have written, Along Came a Warrior, it's not so much a book about Banda Bahadur per se, as it is about Dharamyudh and the Sikh theory of just war. We will not delve into that because I've already been warned, I'm a Fauji and no lecture. So, coming back to Banda, I'll just give you a few inputs about Banda. When we got reading this book, Banda to us came out with a very, very deep, enigmatic military personality in every way when we look deep into him. I'll speak about that a little later, but I just want to highlight three issues about Banda. The juncture which he entered the Sikh history was very important. Why was it important? As we know, Guru Gobind Singh ji had gone down south after having left Anandpur Sahib. As far as the Sikhs' Miri was concerned, that was on a low ebb. The Guru Granth Sahib's Piri was holding the Sikhs together. But in the given situation, when there was a scope of it getting overwhelmed, there was a possibility someone should come there to bring up Miri. Now that is where in ventured Banda Singh Bahadur. What was the state of society that time? It was highly militarized, highly militarized. And as we speak about Guru Har Gobind, when he introduced, let me make a statement. Earlier, Guru Har Gobind did not introduce militancy into a spiritual society, but spirituality into a militant society. That's what he had done. And now when Banda came, he did the same thing. Banda fulfilled that need which was not there. He also fulfilled the need of social reforms which were started by our gurus. So therefore, he created a bridge, a very strong bridge between the Guru period and the post-Guru period. So that was the first important thing. The second important thing is about soldiering per se. What did he do there? Having rejuvenated Miri, he changed the very concept of warfare. So far, we were on a defensive mode. He decided to change the pace to being aggressive, to go on the offensive. And he set the pace for generations of soldiers to come, for the Sikh soldiers, to create the aggressive spirit in them, of willing martyrdom, of developing the right sankalp, the right resolve. And of course, he simultaneously also ensured that justice must be delivered. You must be appropriately magnanimous and forgiving. But what was Banda's strategy? He was very careful to start with when he came up from down south to Kharkhoda. He was cautious, and his initial moves were with great care. He touched the enemy very softly first, but once he was sure that his men were ready, then it was a whirlwind which took place. From Kharkhoda, he moved northwards, knocking out everything, till, now they say, When did he choose to take up Sarhand? He took up Sarhand when he was sure all the defenses of Sarhand were negated by him. Right up to Shahabad, he had taken everything. Then the next target had to be Sarhand. And at Sarhand, he displayed a masterstroke of taking on a much superior enemy. Wazir Khan, as you know, had a massive force with him. The history speaks about the artillery support of the Mughals. You must recollect when Babur came initially and he defeated the Indian troops here, he had only 26 guns. Wazir Khan here had 34 guns. And Banda Bahadur did not have any artillery. He took him on. How did he take him on? When they were blasting away his defenses in Chaparchiri, he decided on two strokes. One was he closed up with the enemy. He just made a charge. It negated the effect of his artillery, his guns. It negated the effect of his elephants. It negated the effect of his horses. And what he did was he took a hook from the right side or from the left side, whichever side it was, and he went and hit the enemy from the side. Now the enemy was sandwiched and they had no option but to get slaughtered, and that is what happened. So that was his masterstroke. And later on he developed that very fine tactics, what was known as Taifat, 2.5 strokes. That by itself is the art of guerrilla warfare. For all those who may not be too sure about what is Taifat or 2.5 strokes, just a quick explanation at the risk of annoying Dr. Sab sitting there. It was like this, that they used to charge at a huge army, and short of that they used to stop. They used to stop so short from where they could fire into the opposition effectively, and then as soon as they fired, they should turn around and take off, gallop away. And they used to do it repeatedly and annoy the enemy. Finally, the enemy used to say, let's take these chaps on. So part of them used to come running after them or galloping after them. So when they were well away from the main force, the Sikh force used to stop, turn around, and hit into them and knock them down. And then when they used to, further help used to come, they used to disappear. And when the help came to help their comrades, they again struck. And so it used to continue a series of Taifat. I love to say Taifat instead of 2.5 strokes. That makes it more imposing. And of course, finally, I'll just come back to the last point that we keep asking. Did Banda come to Punjab with the intent to wage war? And was his war justified? Well, I must say that there are two things we must say from our Gurbani. When Guru Nanak says, Je sakta sakte ko mare, and it further goes on. And similarly, when Guru Gobind Singh says, when everything else has failed, it is righteous to pick up the sword. Here, Banda followed both these things. And it was not only strong versus strong, it was not so strong versus a very strong, a very regular army, a very experienced army. And here, who were the people with him? Very raw troops. Some even just had, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਖੁਰਪੀ ਤੇ ਛੋਟੀਆਂ ਹਥਿਆਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਖੇਤੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ they were fought. Finally, of course, they got everything, but that was what it was. And there he pivoted the Sikhs into an ethno-nationalistic trajectory, and went in the 18th century and further on, and till today we stand right there, and it was all started by Banda. Banda, of course, for the Mughals is in their defeat. I'm underlining in their defeat. They remember him that he was a barbarian. He slaughtered people. But one must ask them, what about your barbarity? Have you forgotten your own barbarity? By this, I do not mean barbarous action must be given a counter barbaric action. No, that's not the intent. But they have forgotten their thing, and he was not that barbaric. It was the local population which went along with him, who took revenge of the cruelty which was imposed by the Mughal various rulers there, right from the Subedars upwards to the emperor. And just for information, when they say everything was destroyed in Sarhand, till today, when I say till today, the tomb, which is known as Roza Sharif of Sheikh el-Sarhandi, still stands there. Now, who is Sheikh el-Sarhandi? He was the most orthodox Muslim who did not like Akbar because he was secular. And he is the one from Jahangir onwards, he ensured that orthodox Muslims start gaining the step, and that is what has happened. So that was el-Sarhandi. And Banda, I can say, he followed the principles of Bhai Gurdas, except that the first principle which Bhai Gurdas says is purely defensive. He's changed that. It was not required. He's changed it to the offensive. But he made sure that the Sikh troops remained different from the Mughal soldier. He ensured there will be no revenge. That was left to the divine. And, of course, he made sure that the Sikh community should be protected. And seen in modern times, what Banda did was not very wrong, because today when you see in modern context, 70 years later, Thomas Jefferson elated the right to rebel to a level of being a national action. And so did Samuel Johnson, that English traditionalist. He also conceded, if abuse is so enormous, overturn a corrupt system. The French Revolution followed in 1789. And so on, it so goes. But still, Banda was not as bad as the others. When Mao Zedong was told the emperor killed 460 scholars, he says, what are you talking, 460 scholars? We killed 46,000 of them. He was not repenting, but Banda was repenting. I'll just finish by quoting his last conversation, which is of a lot of importance. Like when any soldier, like I'm standing here, when he says the buck stops here, he did that thing. And I'm quoting that conversation. This conversation is taking place between Banda and one of his captors, Muhammad Amin Khan. How did it go? Now this Amin Khan says, your demeanor exhibits signs of wisdom and a sense of justice. How then you led such ways? Committed cruelty, odious deeds? Banda replied, whenever disobedience and defiance of God crosses all limits, true God sends an avenger to seek retribution. Afterwards, he too is punished for his misdeeds and is handed over to a man of authority to obtain punishment. That is what you and I are now witnessing. They are witnessing divine justice. But finally, Banda he had an outstanding military career of 8 years against the mighty Mughals. And so I just end by saying, how should Banda be remembered? Should you just call him Banda the Brave? No, we both say we better remember him as Banda the Upright One. Thank you.
Well, friends, as I promised, I didn't expect I'll get an audience like this. Nikki did mention about Bhai Ram Singh and Sir Gangaram. We're fortunate we have with us Sir Gangaram's granddaughter. Last year we arranged lectures on prominent Punjabis. Bhai Ram Singh, the great architecture, and Sir Gangaram, the great builder. I discovered him when I was working for my doctoral research way back in '68, because in Guru Ka Bagh Morcha, Sikhs were being beaten, and then this, Mr. Beatty taught the people, the police, where to hit on the private parts. Sir Gangaram heard about it. He went there, he purchased the whole Guru Ka Bagh. He says, Bravo, a Bagh toda, jini marzi lakna kato. So I like to pay tribute to that Sir Gangaram. Anita ji, before you speak, I present a book to. No. Anita, blessing, and then Dr. Wilson will give the remark.
Sat Sri Akal, good evening. I'm so happy that in spite of the Band and so on, Sare Jane aa gaye hage. And this is, I really think it's a privilege for me to have been, partly to have been there to release your book, Nikki. Because it is a very well brought out book, first of all, the publishers also. And I must say I haven't had time to really go through it, but the little I have in the last day, I think you have tried to delve very deeply into the subject. And although, you know, mythology turns into history, but what you scholars have to do is to see that it doesn't get derailed. And the scholarship, the history doesn't get, and the Janamsakhis in which we are all so interested. And I must say, I did not know about the B forte. So it is something, a revelation. We've heard the other 4 Janamsakhis which are famous. And just one or two things, because, you know, so much has been said. I noticed that Guru Sahib, Guru Nanak Sahib, normally he is shown with a halo, wherever his paintings are or wherever. But in these, the Janamsakhi, the B forte, he is shown with no halo. Plus, ona de Chauri Sahib hamesha in the paintings. But in none of these, as far as I've seen, you would know better. There is?
That's very important comment to make. And this is the beauty of the P40 Janamsakhis, that Guru Nanak does not need these kind of cliches, you know, heroes and all that.
No, not from his point of view, but from the painter's, the artist's point of view. I mean, they normally, out of respect, you know, they give them the halo, they give them the Chauri Sahib, but from their point of view.
But there's always a tree kind of that
Yes,
over
yes.
the canopy.
Yes.
And somehow Guru Nanak exudes radiance from within that you don't need that cliche.
No, he doesn't need it, but the artists who you know, who created, this is the first time. And then another thought which came to me, you know, we talk about the caste system being bad. It did become.
Thank you, Anita. I have a lot of questions, but I'll ask these questions after a cup of tea or to get inaugurated. Now, I'll now request Tarlochan Singh ji, on our request, he had to cancel some other engagement. I must go in Nikki's function, otherwise she'll get little annoyed. You can't afford to annoy her.
Not in the tree.
ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ ਕਰਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਦਨ, ਨਾਗ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਧਰਮਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ। ਐਂਡਾ ਵੈਸੇ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ you organize all such function, encourage and welcome all the top writers from abroad. ਗੁਰੂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ 'ਤੇ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੇ। ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਬੜਾ ਹੀ ਮਜ਼ਾ ਆਇਆ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਲਈ ਕਿ 2 ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੈਵਲ 'ਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਬਜੈਕਟ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਾਪ ਦੀਆਂ ਰਿਟਨ। ਨਿੱਕੀ इस वक्त क्योंकि सिख डायस्पोरा बड़ी कमाल गल ये है कि 2 करोड़ आबादी चों 32 लाख बाहर रहिंदा। सो सिख डायस्पोरा इस वेले वर्ल्ड वाइड उन्हां दी हिम्मत सानू लाभ मिल रहा है। वी आर नाउ एंजॉइंग देयर ग्लोरी। सो ये बड़ा अच्छा है और उन्हां विच सिख स्कॉलर बहुत अच्छे अच्छे हुण आ रहे हैं। बट वट आई फील कि निक्की इज़ नाउ द मोस्ट शाइनिंग सिख स्कॉलर अब्रॉड। इस तो बाद की होवे कि द लेटेस्ट बुक ऑन गुरु नानक बाणी जिहड़ी हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी ने सिलेक्ट की, हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी ऑन इट्स ओन हैज़ डिसाइडेड टू पब्लिश ए बुक ऑन द बाणी ऑफ गुरु नानक एंड निक्की इज़ ट्रांसलेटिंग। सो इस तो बाद यू कैन सिलेक्ट हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी हैज़ ऑनर्ड अस कि निक्की वो काम करेगी। एंड ऑन गुरु नानक बर्थडे शी केम ए बुक द फर्स्ट सिख। कमाल बुक द हेडिंग पेंगुइन ने छापी द फर्स्ट सिख गुरु नानक। सो शी अर्लीयर द फेमिनन कंसैप्ट ऑफ बड़ा वड्डा दुनिया सबजैक्ट सी कि हर वक्त गुरु ग्रंथ गुरु रब नूं लेडी बनाया जाता, भाई लेडी बन के रब नूं मर्द बनाया जाता। शी रोट ए बुक ऑन दिस। सो बड़ी इहदी हिम्मत है और हिम्मत इस करके कि इहदे फादर डॉक्टर महेंद्र सिंह हैज़ मैंशन, ही हैज़ बिन स्टूडेंट देयर, ही गेव अस सिख इनसाइक्लोपीडिया। भाई कान सिंह तो बाद सिख धर्म की जो ये सेवा हुई है प्रोफैसर बंद सिंह तो कि 4 वॉल्यूम ऑफ सिख इनसाइक्लोपीडिया उन्होंने कंप्लीट किया। इस तो वध कंट्रीब्यूशन टूवर्ड सिख धर्म कि हर चीज़ कोई लभ लो कोई लोड़ पैंदी है अज वो सिख इनसाइक्लोपीडिया बिकॉज दैट इज़ कंट्रीब्यूशन बाई हर फादर। ये कोलबी शी इज़ द प्रोफैसर ऑफ एशियन, कली सिख धर्म की नहीं है, आल द रिलीजन ऑफ एशिया शी इज़ द हैड। मैं उत्थे कोलबी गया भी हाँ, अटेंडेड ए लैक्चर देयर कि हाउ शी इज़ पॉपुलर एज ए प्रोफैसर देयर। सो गॉड ब्लैस हर कि ये जो कर रही है। और अज इसने जो किताब दी है, देखो सारे को जे कुछ लैण देण नूं है तो सिर्फ जन्मसाखी, बाकी तो कोई जो साडा गल्लां जो वो भी अंग्रेज़ों की मेहरबानी कि उत्थे लभ गई तो मैं उन्होंने रख रखी इंडिया ऑफिस लाइब्रेरी च पई है तो वो सारे दुनिया उत्थों यूज़ करती है। और इसने किताब शी हैज़ ऑलरेडी टोल्ड कि 50 पेंटिंग जिहड़ियां उहदी पिक्चर है उन्होंने हर एक दी इंग्लिश विच कि कदों लिखी की होया किस बारे की सबजैक्ट बहुत मेहनत करके शी हैज़ नाउ ब्रॉट दैट इन इंग्लिश। दैट इज़ अगेन वी से कि वर्ल्ड वाइड दिस इज़ हर कंट्रीब्यूशन। सो बहुत वड्डी गल है। बाबा बंदा बहादुर बारे बहुत अच्छा जनरल साहब ने भी ते बराड़ साहब ने भी एक्सप्लेन किया है। देखो अज सारे बैठे हो कि बड़ा एक अच्छा काम हो रहा इज़ ए गुड थिंग कि हिस्ट्री हैज़ बिन डिसाइडेड टू रीराइट मीन कि अंग्रेज़ और मुसलमान जिहड़े राइटर सन वो शायद साडी हिस्ट्री ठीक नहीं लिख गए। तो भारत सरकार हुण लगी है, तुसीं लेटेस्ट पढ़िया होना होम जनरल लीचे उत्थों का जिहड़ा कि उदों राजा मान सिंह के खिलाफ लड़िया सी उहदा पिछे तो फंक्शन होया विज्ञान भवन तो उसनूं किस तरह की उहदी ताकत किवें मुगल आर्मी पूरा इंडिया विच उहदा प्रचार होया। हुण तक माफ़ करियो सारी दुनिया शिवाजी जानदी, राणा प्रताप, राणी झांसी, बस इस तो अगे कोई वारियर इंडिया का पॉपुलर नहीं। हालांकि बंदा बहादुर द फस्ट सावरन इन मुगल अंपायर, बाद अपना सिक्का चलाया, सारे जमींदारां नूं जमीन का मालक बना गया। देखो इस तो वड्डी की कंट्रीब्यूशन जिवें उन्होंने कहा कि 7-8 साल के रूल ही गेव सो मच टू द पीपल नॉट ओनली ए फाइट कि जिन्नियां जमीनां सीयां ये अंग्रेज मुगल सरकार मालक सी। ही गेव प्रोप्राइटरी राइट्स टू एवरी टिलर कि यू आर दी ओनर। जो हरियाणा पंजाब जिन्नी जमींदार है दे ओ टू बंदा बहादुर कि दे आर दी ओनर ऑफ द लैंड। मेरी एक बेनती है कि वो खड़कोडे आया सी पहला बंदा बहादुर हजूर साहब उत्थों आके खड़कोडे पिंड रहा। खड़कोडे एक महंत सी, उत्थों जिहड़ी फस्ट आर्मी है वो हरियाणे की है, वो खड़कोडे पिंड तो उठी। मेरी ये बेनती है जनरल साहब और सारे डॉक्टर महेंद्र सिंह नाग साहब कि खड़कोडे पिंड भी कोई यादगार बनाओ, कोई कम से कम पिलर ही ला दिओ कि दिस इज़ द प्लेस जिथे बंदे ने आके पहली आर्मी स्टार्ट की। अगे भी सारे इन्हें निशानदेही करती है। सो थोड़ी जी सानू लोड़ है क्योंकि बंदा बहादुर बड़ी मेहनत नाल असीं उहदा बुत लवाया ਇੱਥੇ ITO ਤੋਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਰਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ। ਸੋ ਬੰਦਾ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਬਾਰੇ ਜੋ ਵੇਖੋ, ਸਾਰਾ ਗੜੀ ਦੀ ਪਬਲਿਸਿਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਫਿਲਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣੀ। ਉਹ ਫਿਲਮ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਇਆ, ਕੇਸਰੀ ਫਿਲਮ ਨੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਗੜੀ ਦੱਸਤੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਸਾਰਾ ਗੜੀ ਕੀ ਹੋਏ। ਤੋ ਸਾਡੀ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਜਦ ਭਾਰਤ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਕੀਨ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਵਾਈ ਨਾਟ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਸ਼ੁੱਡ ਨਾਓ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਲਿਟਰੇਚਰ ਆਨ ਆਵਰ ਹੀਰੋਜ਼। ਅਬ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਕਸਟਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਗਦੇ, ਬਟ ਵਟ ਦੇ ਡਿਡ। ਸੋ ਬੰਦਾ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਫਾਈਟਰ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਬਾਦਸ਼ਾਹ ਹੈ, ਮੈਂ ਹਿਸਟੋਰੀਅਨ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਬੈਠਾ ਹੀ ਮਰ ਗਿਆ, ਉਹ ਉਡੀਕਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਕੰਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਫੜਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਇਹ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ 'ਤੇ ਕਿ ਬੰਦਾ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਭੁੱਖਾ ਵੀ 7 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਲੜਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਵੇਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਬਾਦਸ਼ਾਹ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਕਿ ਕਦੋਂ ਫੜਿਆ ਜਾਏ ਅਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਦਿਆਂ, ਅਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਹੋਈ। ਸੋ ਬੜਾ ਕੁਛ ਹੈ ਬੰਦਾ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਦਾ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰਾਈਟਰਸ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਮੌਕਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਲੈਟ ਅਸ ਟੇਕ ਐਡਵਾਂਟੇਜ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਨਿਊ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ। ਬਟ DAG ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪ੍ਰਤਾਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ, ਐਡੀਟਰ ਹੈ ਸਿੱਖ ਰਿਵਿਊ ਦੇ। ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਜ਼ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਹਾਈਲਾਈਟ ਕਰੀਏ, ਨਵਾਂ ਲਿਟਰੇਚਰ ਐਂਡ ਨਵਾਂ ਮੈਥਡ ਆਫ ਮੀਡੀਆ, ਇਕੱਲਾ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ, ਹੋਰ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰੀਏ। ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ। ਬੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫਿਰ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਦਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਦਾ। ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੈ, ਬੜਾ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਰੇ ਕਿ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਮ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਫਾਦਰ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰੇ। ਔਰ ਬਰਾੜ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਆਏ ਯੂਬਾ ਸਿਟੀ ਤੋਂ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ, ਮੈਂ ਗਿਆ ਯੂਬਾ ਸਿਟੀ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਨਰਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਰੇ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਹੋਵੇ। ਅਤੇ ਔਰ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਦਨ, ਡਾਕਟਰ ਮਹਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੋ ਇਹ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ। ਬਾਕੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮਦਨ ਗੋਪਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਬੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡਾ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਐਸੈਟ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕੋ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਬਹਿਣ ਲੱਗਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋ, ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਦਲੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਪੈਲਸ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਨਾ ਐਲਵੇਡਨ, ਲੰਡਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ, ਉਹ ਇੰਟੈਕਟ ਪਿਆ, ਖੰਡੇ ਵੀ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਲੱਗੇ, ਛੇੜਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਿਆ। ਉਹ ਸਨ 2008 ਵਿੱਚ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਅਲਾਓ ਹੋਇਆ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਦਾ ਬੈਂਕਟ ਹਾਲ ਯੂਜ਼ ਹੋਵੇ। ਉਦੋਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਗੜੀ ਦਾ ਮੈਚ ਹੋਇਆ ਪੋਲੋ, ਪ੍ਰਿੰਸ ਚਾਰਲਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਇਹਨੇ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੀਜ਼ਾਈਡ ਕੀਤਾ, ਅਤੇ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਐਲਵੇਡਨ ਦੇ ਬੈਂਕਟ ਹਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੰਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਇਆ। ਔਰ ਫੰਕਸ਼ਨ ਕੀ ਸੀ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗਾਇਆ ਉੱਥੇ। ਹੀ ਵਾਜ਼ ਦਾ ਵਨ ਇਨਵਾਈਟਡ ਫਰਾਮ ਇੰਡੀਆ, ਕਿ ਉਸ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਦਲੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਬੈਂਕਟ ਹਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਵਾਰਿਸ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਮੁਹੰਮਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਬਾਜੋਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ ਗਾਇਆ। ਵੈਸੇ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਵੀ ਆਰ ਪ੍ਰਾਊਡ ਆਫ ਹਿਮ। ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰਾ ਰਮਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਬੁਲਾ ਕੇ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੋਏ ਮਾफ़ ਕਰਿਓ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
I think before we thank, I have to offer you apology who couldn't make proper seating arrangement. Justice Tarlochan Singh is there sitting at the back somewhere. We acknowledge him. And through my young friends who invited the students from University of Delhi, they are welcome because Kulveer is there, Kulveer Gojra, I think he's there. So when Madan Gopal was talking about Professor Rupinder Singh, these all students said कि सर तुसी बंद क्यों करता कि सदन बड़ा मजा आंदा की मजा आंदा चंगे लेक्चर सुनते हैं जलेबी समोसा मिलता नाल कन्वेंस ही मिलता स्टूडेंट देना चाहते असी बड़े स्कॉलर आराम नाल 50,000 देने तो विद्यार्थी नूं 5 रुपए देने तो असी औखे होने तो साड़ी मैनेजमेंट डॉक्टर साहब बैठे ने साडे वाइस प्रेजिडेंट वो कहते नहीं इन्हें बच्चों नूं इंसेंटिव दिओ ताकि वो टैक्सी लैन स्कूटर लैन आ सकन। मदन गोपाल बारे कहना बड़ा औखा है। ही इज एन इंस्टीट्यूशन एंड ही इज मॉडेस्ट। पहली बार देखा कि एक आर्टिस्ट नॉर्मली नहीं बारगेनिंग होंगी है। मदन गोपाल ने कहा जी थोड़ी फीस कहना मैं प्रोफैसर है कॉलेज पढ़ाता है मैंने तनख्वाह मिलती है किस गल की फीस कन्वेंस कहता मैं कन्वेंस अफोर्ड कर सकता। सब मदन गोपाल को फोन करते हैं फटा देंगे ने अज कहते थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम होएगी। मैं कहा ठीक है मेरे आर्टिस्ट तो मैंने खुशी है कि आर्टिस्ट भी आ गए on these young students should decide whether now he starts or you have a tea break. Normally in tea break जनता घट जाती है फिर बेनती चाह पी के हाँ जी गाओ जी चलो आओ गाओ कहते
क्या बात है। Work that we do, ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਘੱਟ ਗਾਈ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੜਾ ਅਫਸੋਸ ਵੀ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਡਰਦਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਤਲੱਫਜ਼ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ, ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਮਾਜ਼ਰਤ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਗਾਵਾਂਗਾ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਜ਼ਦੀਕ ਨੇ, ਬਟ ਆਈ ਐਮ ਨਾਟ ਸੋ ਸ਼ੋਰ ਹਾਊ ਕਲੋਜ਼ ਦੇ ਆਰ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਅਫਸੋਸ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਚਾਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਡਿਸਟਰਪਟ ਕਰਤੀ ਹੈ, ਸੋ ਫੀਲ ਫਰੀ ਟੂ ਗੋ ਐਂਡ ਗੈਟ ਯੋਰਸੈਲਫ ਅ ਕੱਪ ਆਫ ਟੀ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਸਮੋਸੇ ਵੀ ਰੱਖੇ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ। ਸਾਡਾ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਈਡੈਂਟੀਫਾਈ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਜਰਨੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਹੈ। ਮਤਲਬ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਵੱਲ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹੋਏ 3 ਰੂਟਸ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਮਿਲਟਰੀ ਰੂਟ ਹੈ, ਇੱਕ ਟ੍ਰੇਡ ਦਾ ਰੂਟ ਹੈ, ਇੱਕ ਫਕੀਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਰੂਟ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਫੋਕਸ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਮਿਲਟਰੀ ਰੂਟਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਫੋਕਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਾਕੀ 2 ਰੂਟਸ ਟ੍ਰੇਡ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੰਮ ਹੋਇਆ, ਬਟ I'm not so sure if we have done enough work on the 3rd route, which is the route of the fakirs. It has been, one of the reasons is that it's been one-way route, and there have been very few counter reverse journeys. So the name of Guru Nanak becomes really important because his is the first major reverse journey in towards the northern sort of, hemisphere, which includes possibly Central Asia, includes Tibet, includes Afghanistan, Iraq, and also the south. ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੇਨ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਕਹਿ ਦਿਆਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ I have never been a professor. I tried very hard, but I could never become a professor. So I'm only Dr. Madan Gopal Singh, if you want to call me Dr. Madan Gopal Singh. और मेरी डॉक्टरेट ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਫਿਲਮ ਸਟੱਡੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ। ਉਹਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਝ ਲੈਣਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ। So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ I'm in a state of delectable, ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, confusion. I've never been a professor. I tried, but JNU rejected me, which is how, which is how as it should be. So I begin with a line because I'm reminded of Professor Saab ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਗੱਲ। कहत कबीर गूंज की सेना, कहत कबीर गूंज की सेना, सतगुरु शब्द परख कर नैना। Now that is an engagement. It's not a simple engagement. This is what our music is all about. So I'm sorry, I'm talking about this. We come from the background of Dehina Asmin Yatha Dehe Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara Tatha Dehantar Prapti Dhira Tattana Mohayati. कि 2 चीज़ां तुहानूं दित्तियां गईयां हैं, एक शरीर है तुहाडा, एक आत्मा है। But I'm in a state of confusion because there is a 3rd thing that binds the 2 together, and that is the spirit. Between the soul and the body is the spirit. That is the basic stitch. Without that stitch, nothing holds. कहत कबीर गूंज की सेना. You are the army of resonance. गूंज की सेना. Satguru Shabd Parakh Karnena. Even the word of the Sadguru is not sacrosanct. You have to put it to scrutiny. And that's the important thing. So when Guru Nanak Dev says, Vismad Naad, Vismad Ved, wondrous is that sound that abounds. Vismad Ved, wondrous is the knowledge that happens. Vismad Jiya, Vismad Ved. Wondrous is the life that abounds. And wondrous is the bhed, the difference. Otherwise, this world has no meaning. I mean, if it is only one, Vismad Roop, Vismad Rang, Vismad Nage, Phire, Vismad, Phire, ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ? The last is, I'm forgetting, you know, I'm growing old. Vismad, G, Vismad. Anyway, that was one. Incidentally, the first person who challenged the Mughal Empire was a Muslim, and his name was Abdullah Bhatti, the man who challenged that empire and who laid down his life fighting the court. And his festival we celebrated 2 days ago. And we've all forgotten. For us, Lodi has just become another festival. Oh, Sundar Mandiriye ho, bhai tera kaun bajara ho, Dulla Patti wala ho, ए दुल्ले दी भी आई हो के शेर शक्कर पाई हो, कुली कुड़ी दा लाल पटाका हो, कुड़ी दा सालू बाटा हो, पैसालू कौन समेटे हो, चाचा गाली दे से हो, भाई चाचा गाली दे से हो, ए चाचे चूरी गुट्टी हो, भाई जिमीदारा लुट्टी हो. This is the politics. ए चाचे चूरी गुट्टी हो, भाई जिमीदारा लुट्टी हो, जिमीदार सदाए हो, भाई जिमीदार सदाए हो के गिन गिन पोले लाए हो, एक पोला रह गया सिपाही फड़ के ले गया, भाई एक पोला रह गया सिपाही फड़ के ले गया, नी आखो कुड़ियो ए आखियो मुंडियो दाना पई दाना, असां लोड़ी मंगने जाना जाना. Each Lodi we will dress up as beggars and we will go door to door singing this song and collecting alms and then sharing them. This is the spirit. The spirit of Guru Nanak is sharing. Allah, 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 Allahu, Allah, 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 Allahu Allah. Alf Allah Chambe di Booty Mursad Man Vich Lai Allah, 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 Allahu Allah. Join in. ये जो गाना है, इस गाने दे विच सिंगर और ऑडियंस का कोई फर्क नहीं है. ਇਹਦੇ ਚ ਨਾਲ ਗਾਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਅੱਲਾ 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 ਅੱਲਾਹੁ ਅੱਲਾ 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 Allah, Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu Allah. Than lage ishq kamal, the body that has been touched by the wondrous ishq, nache besur de betal, dances a little out of step, sings a little out of tune. So don't be scared, just put it behind you. Ye nabi asbab the Pani Milia Nafi's Bhai, fullness and void. Har Dage Har Jai Hu Allah, 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 Allahu Allah. Allah, 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 Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu Allah. मुश्क मचाया अंदर बूटी मुश्क मचाया अंदर बूटी मुश्क मचाया बूटी मुश्क मचाया बूटी मुश्क मचाया जाया 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 जा अंदर बूटी मुश्क मचाया जाम कुल्लड़ कुलवाई Allah, 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 Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu Allah. क्या बात है बेटे? ਇਹ ਦੇਸੀ ਗਾਣੇ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਮਹਿਫਿਲ ਹੈ, ਇਹਦੇ ਚ ਅਖੀਰ ਦਮ ਤੱਕ ਵੇਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਤਾਲੀ ਵਜਾਉਣ ਲਈ। ਜਿੱਥੇ ਦਿਲ ਕਰੇ ਕਰੋ, ਨਾ ਕਰੇ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ, ਬਟ ਵਾਹ ਕਰਨ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਪਾਬੰਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। Alfi Allah, Jambe di booty, Mursad man vich लाई। मुर्शद कामल साई, जीवे मुर्शद कामल साई, जीवे मुर्शद कामल साई, जाए लाई। Allah Allahu Allah, Allah 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 Allahu Allah, Allah 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 Allahu Allah, Allah Allah. The line is Jeeve Murshad Kamal Sai. Sai, is he a master? Sai is that saya, that shade that follows you even when the body is left. It is there to look after you. Jeeve Murshad Kamil. Kamil is wise, but its upbranch in Punjabi is Kamla. So the thing is that the teacher is not worth his or her salt if he or she doesn't have a crack in the head. So the teacher per se has to be cracked. There are many teachers sitting here. I was one such teacher. I hope you don't take offense, but I am actually praising you if you are a little cracked in the head. ये चीजें ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਛੋਟੀ ਛੋਟੀਆਂ ਨਾ ਗੇਮਸ ਚੋਂ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਪਾਰਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਫਿਊਜੀ ਕਾਲੋਨੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਔਰ ਰਿਫਿਊਜੀ ਕਾਲੋਨੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਕੋਈ ਬੈਟ ਬਾਲ, ਕੋਈ ਹਾਕੀ, ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ। ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਗਾਣੇ ਸੀਗੇ। ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਮਤਲਬ I was born in the late 50s, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ 51। ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਕ ਗੇਮ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਸੀ। ਦੋ ਟੀਮਸ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਉੱਤੇ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਲਿਖਿਆ, ਨੂੰ ਫੋਲਡ ਕਰਕੇ we'll put it into a crack and the other team has to find out where that crack is. We'll sing the song and give them the clues. ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਗਾਣੇ ਦੀ ਖਾਸੀਅਤ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਖਾਸੀਅਤ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗਿਰਹ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੈ, ਗਿਰਹ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਗੰਢ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ, ਯਾਨੀ ਕੋਈ ਪੋਇਮ ਸੈਕਰੋਸੈਂਕਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੋਇਮ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਪੋਇਮ 'ਚ ਵੜ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ, ਉੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੂਪ ਲਗਾ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਵਾਪਸ ਉਸ ਪੋਇਮ 'ਚ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ। that is the beauty. ਸਾਡਾ ਸੂਫੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਥੋੜਾ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਹੈ ਫਰਮ ਦੀ ਗੈਂਜੈਟਿਕ ਪਲੇਨਸ, ਐਂਡ ਦੈਟਸ ਅ ਵੈਰੀ ਮੇਜਰ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਸ। ਦੋ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਟਕਰਾਰ, ਐਂਡ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀ ਗੰਢ ਲਗਾਉਣਾ। ਜੋ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਦੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦਗੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ। I'll try to. I was talking about this man Abdullah Bhatti. Abdullah Bhatti was hanged in the early 16th century, and this is also the time when Shah Hussain went to the public execution of Abdullah Bhatti, and Shah Hussain became a radical poet of Sufi poetry. ਇਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਨੇ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਪੋਇਮ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੈ। How come that you forgot all about us when you were creating this world? We will stand up and tell you a few things, and this we are demanding, not that you can do anything. जेती जेती दुनिया तेरी राम जी, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। क्या बात है? जेती जेती दुनिया तेरी राम जी, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। जेती जेती दुनिया तेरी नाम की, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। मुंडा मंगदी मैं तां, मुंडा मंगदी मैं तां सोडा मंगदी। मुंडा मंगदी मैं तां सोडा मंगदी। कोठी मंगदी मैं एक मंगदी, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। कोठी मंगदी मैं एक मंगदी, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। जेती जेती दुनिया तेरी नाम दी, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। मर्जा मंगदी मैं तां साफी मंगदी। मर्जा मंगदी मैं तां साफी मंगदी। बेमिन्नती मैं मंगा रंग दी, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। बेमिन्नती मैं मंगा रंग दी, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। ओह मंगदी मैं तां ओह मंगदी। The woman is becoming increasingly rebellious, and the next one is the ultimate. Post मंगदी मैं तां, post मंगदी मैं तां जाटी मंगदी। Post मंगदी मैं तां जाटी मंगदी। बाटी मंगदी मैं एक खंड दी, मैं तां ओह मंगदी। ओह मंगदी मैं तां ओह मंगदी। ओह मंगदी मैं तां ओह मंगदी। Ramji's become very annoyed. And from another copy, this is Gandhi. Kede deso tuayo di kudi. Which country have you come from? Tu keha shor machayo kyun? Apna sud dayab badhaya. Dost julahe nu layo kyun? Kede deso tuayo di kudi. You will lose all your credit with me if you persisted with these unreasonable demands. So she gets scared and she says, all my demands are cancelled. I have only one demand. Gyan mangdi meta, gyan mangdi meta, gyan mangdi meta, gyan mangdi meta. Gyan mangdi meta, gyan mangdi. Maima mangdi main sadhu sangdi, meta yo mangdi, oh mangdi meta yo mangdi, oh mangdi meta yo mangdi. ਕਾਂ ਬੋਲੇ ਕਟੌਆ ਬੋਲੇ ਗਾਡੋ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਪਈ ਕਾਂ ਬੋਲੇ ਕਟੌਆ ਬੋਲੇ ਗਾਡੋ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਅੰਬਾਂ ਵਾਲੀ ਕੋਠੜੀ ਅਨਾਰਾਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਵੇੜਾ ਬਾਬੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਬਾਬੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਬਾਬੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਬਾਬੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਕਿਹੜਾ This is the game we played as children in that refugee colony. The cue is that house where a lamp is lit. Second clue. Rag talanga gaye malanga sunne wala keda pai rag talanga gaye malanga sunne wala keda Kabir Das di kothdi te maloi da beda babe nanak da kar keda babe nanak da kar keda Kabir Das di kothdi te maloi da beda babe nanak da kar keda babe nanak da kar keda ਦੀਵਾ ਬਲਦਾ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਜਗਦਾ ਦੀਵਾ ਬਲਦਾ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਜਗਦਾ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਜਗਦਾ ਤੇ ਦੀਵਾ ਬਲਦਾ ਇਤੜੀਏ ਤੋਂ ਇਤੜੀਏ 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 ਤੋਂ ਇਤੜੀਏ ਜੰਜੀਰੀ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ इतड़िए तो इतड़िए जंजीरी तेरा नाम पड़े भाई लालो दी कोठड़ी ते चक्की वाला बेड़ा बाबे नानक दा कर केड़ा बाबे नानक दा कर केड़ा भाई लालो दी कोठड़ी ते भाई लालो दी कोठड़ी ते चक्की वाला बेड़ा बाबे नानक दा कर केड़ा बाबे नानक दा कर केड़ा रबाब बजदी, रबाब बजदी, रबाब बजदी, गिटार बजदी, ते बाजा बजदा, ते बाजा बजदा, ते तबला बजदा, ते तबला बजदा, ते तबला बजदा, तबला बजदा, गिटार बजदी, ते बाजा बजदा. Twelfth century, Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti, Rahmatullah alayh. सुना मगर उन्हें थोड़ी देर हाँ नहीं मैं सुना मगर 12th century Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti Rahmatullah alayh, he came from a village called Gole in Afghanistan, and he came to Punjab before settling down in India twice. Third time he settled down, and he wrote poetry in Persian. Man nami goyam anal haq, yar mi goyat bago. Chu na goyam chu mera dildar mi goyat bago. The idea of anal haq, that I exist, resides in the very idea of the beloved, in the idea of ishq. Mansur al-Hallaj was hanged. Man nami goyam anal haq, yar mi goyat bago. Chu na goyam chu mera dildar mi goyat bago. Sirre Mansuri niha kardan na hadde chunis chukunam man resma mandar mi goyat bago. She says that I'm not here to extol Mansur al-Hallaj, but I'm saying that when he was mounting the gallows, even the rope with which he was to hang was to be hanged, and the floor on which he stood to lose his life, even they said, you speak up and say, I'm the truth. Ab dekhiye, from 12th century to 20th century. Faiz Ahmad Faiz. This is the origin of the poem. बोल की लब आजाद है तेरे, बोल की लब आजाद है तेरे, बोल ज़बान अब तक तेरी है, बोल ज़बान अब तक तेरी है, तेरा सुतवा जिस्म है तेरा, बोल की जान अब तक तेरी है, बोल की लब आजाद है तेरे, बोल की लब आजाद है तेरे. है, बोल की थोड़ा वक्त बहुत है, जिस्मो जबान की मौत से पहले बोल की सच जिंदा है अब तक, बोल की सच जिंदा है अब तक, जो कहना है या कह ले, बोल जो कुछ कहना है या कह ले, बोल की लब आजाद है तेरे। The idea is to, actually look at the connections. This music doesn't happen in a void. There is a lot which precedes. There's a lot which is ये सब जड़ा है और मैं तनु आखिर how much time do we have? मैं बहुत ज़्यादा I'm a little too much in love with my own voice. So please tell me 10 minutes? Will that be okay? Yeah. 10 minutes? I was traveling in Iran, and we traveled from Tehran to Isfahan to Hamadan to Kurdistan. And I was traveling with Shara Naziri, the legendary Sufi singer, and we were singing underground. One of the things that I picked up from him was Rumi. Now, this is an interesting thing. Why do Sufis and some of our Bhakti poets speak in negatives? They never tell you who they are, but they will tell you who they are not. And it's important. I think saying who you are not is more important than saying who you are in their eyes. Tadbire Musalmana. Kya baat hai, Zakir Bhai? Oh, my Muslim brethren, you have been able to figure out who you are. Ke man khud ro nami danam. I have tried and I have failed. Na darsa na Yahudam man, na gabram na Musalman. Am I a Jew? Am I a Christian? Am I a Christian? Am I Zoroastrian? Am I a Muslim? Na az Hindam, na az Chinam, na az Bulgar Saksinam. Not from India, not from China, not from Bulgaria, not from Spain. Na az mulk-e Iraqiyam, na az khak-e Khurasan. Na az dunya, na az ukhba, na az jannat, na az dozakh. az Adam az Hawa. Naz Firdaus Rizwanam. Firdaus Rizwanam, gatekeeper to hell and heaven. Rumi, 13th century. Sojo zara. Nahi koi jannat kahi. Hai aasan tasavvur, koshish naseeb. पाँव के नीचे न है कोई नर, सर पर जो है सो खुला नीला अर्श. सोचो जरा.
Imagine there's no heaven.
John Lennon, 20th century. Rumi,
It's easy
13th century.
if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one.
सोचो ये सारी हल्के जहां, जी जान से जिंदा है हर पल यहाँ. सोचो जरा.
Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one.
ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਰਾਤ ਚੱਲ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੰਵਾਦ ਹੈ। कबीर दास, ना हम नरक लोक को जाते, ना हम स्वर्ग सिधारे हों, अपने कर्मण से हम किए, कर्मण से हम न्यारे हों। नेगेटिव्स था, ना मैं धर्मी ना ही अधर्मी, ना मैं जति न कामी हूं, ना मैं कहता ना मैं सुनता, ना सेवक ना स्वामी हूं। And the same thing, who do I know who I am? Baba Bulle Shah's Ki Jana Main Kaun is a literal translation of Rumi's poem in the 13th century. Ki Jana Main Kaun, na main moment vich masita, na main pakan vich palita, hai na? Na main Musa na Firaun, वगैरह वगैरह. So this can actually, Punjabi ch khas taur te, the literature and also in Persia. I mean, you can go to Hafiz, you can go to Rumi, and all this is there. I mean, those of you who want to work on this, this is almost like a PhD thesis. Finally, ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਗੰਢ ਲਗਾ ਕੇ ਗਾਣੇ ਦੀ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर ਜਿਹਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਹੋਇਆ, ਰਵਿੰਦਰਨਾਥ ਟੈਗੋਰ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਇਟਸ ਦੇयर, but if you were to go to his novel which was written much later, ਚਾਰ ਅਧਿਆਏ, then you will see that there is a very interesting shift that is happening. ਚਾਰ ਅਧਿਆਏ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਕੁਛ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਫਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇਗੀ ਭੀਸ਼ਮ ਸਾਹਨੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਵਲ ਮਈਆ ਦਾਸ ਕੀ ਮਾੜੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ, ਜਦੋਂ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਫੌਜ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਪੰਜਾਬ 'ਚ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਲੜਨ ਲਈ। ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ 1849। ਉਹ ਚਾਰ ਅਧਿਆਏ ਦਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਲਿੰਕੇਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੈ, ਚਾਰ ਅਧਿਆਏ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਇਜ਼ ਆਲਸੋ ਟਾਕਿੰਗ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਦ ਪੋਸੀਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਰਾਈਜ਼ਿੰਗ। टैगोर चाहता है कि वो आ सके in the year 1872-73 to Punjab. He was an 11-12-year-old boy. पहले वो डलहौजी गए, डलहौजी उदों पंजाब च हुंदा सी, डलहौजी च रहे तकरीबन 6 महीने। वो अपर बखरोटा उत्थे जाओ तो you will find that house there. Then he came down with his father. They took a house on rent. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈਗਾ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਜੀਠਾ ਰੋਡ ਹੈ, ਇੱਥੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਸੀ। ਔਰ ਹਰ ਰੋਜ਼ ਉਹ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਸੁਣਨ ਲਈ ਗੋਲਡਨ ਟੈਂਪਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ। They will sit in the precincts and they listen to the ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ। ਆਰਤੀ ਦਾ ਬੜਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਡੀਪ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਹੋਇਆ ਗੁਰੂ ਆਪਣੇ। ਇੱਕ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 15 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ 'ਚ ਆਰਤੀ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਲੇਟ ਕੀਤੀ, but Aarti never left him. अपने मैच्योर दिनों के विच उन्होंने एक पोइम लिखी है जिसका मैं जिक्र करना है। आकाश भोरा सूर्य तारा बेश भरा प्राण তাহারে মাঝখানে আমি পেয়েছি মোর স্থান, বিষ্ণুয়ে তাই জাগে আমার গান। गगन में थाल रविचंद्र दीपक बने, तारिका मंडल जनक मोती, धूप मलयान लो पवन चवरों करे सगल बन राय फूलंत ज्योति आकाश भरा शुद्ध तारा विश्व भरा प्राण। कोशिश कर रहे हैं, गलती हो जाए माफ करना है। मैं गुरबानी गांदा नहीं कभी स्टेज तो गगन में थाल रव चांद दीपक बने गगन में थाल रव चांद दीपक बने तारका मंडल जनक मोती तारका मंडल जनक मोती धूप मालयान लो पावन चवरों करे धूप मालयान लो पावन चवरों करे सगल बन राय फूलंत ज्योति गगन में थाल रव चांद दीपक बने। गला बैठा है, कुछ फट जाए तो परवाह ना करना। कैसी आरती होवे कैसी आरती होवे कैसी आरती होवे भव खंडना तेरी आरती अनगता शब्द वाजंत भेदे अनगता शब्द वाजंत भेदे गगन में थाल रव चांद दीपक बने You're not pushing me.
पावे सो आरती हो, जो दिस पावे सो आरती हो। चरण कमल मकरंद लोभित, मनो दिनो मोहि आस। कृपा जल देह नानक चारक, तुम होए जाते तो कोई वासा। दाल रवि संग दीपक बने, ताज का मंडल जनक मोती, ताज का मंडल जनक मोती। धूप मलयान लो पवन चवरों, सकल बन राय बुलंद ज्योति। गगन में तारक बने, कैसी आरती हो, कैसी आरती हो। बाबा खंडना तेरी आरती, अनहत शब्द वदन रे, अनहत शब्द वदन रे। गगन में काल ताज का मंडल जनक मोती, ताज का मंडल जनक मोती। गगन में काल, गगन में काल, गगन में काल रवि। Thank you. Thank you. And this is where we come to. My throat is really very sore, and that makes me a little nervous. We have too many concerts coming up. एक मिनट एक और सुना दे, थोड़ा जा एक और सुना दे। एक कोई बात सुनावांगे। पिन्नी रैनड़िए, चमकण तारे। फिफ्थ गुरु। पिन्नी रैनड़िए, चमकण तारे। जागे हैं संत जना, जागे जागे हैं संत जना। मेरे नाम प्यारे, पिन्नी रैनड़िए, चमकण तारे। राम प्यारे सदा जागे हैं राम 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 प्यारे सदा जागे हैं निज नाम सिमरे हैं दिनों नड़िए चमकता. I'll stop it here because my throat is now protesting. Thank you very much. You've been wonderful. बहुत ज़्यादा ज्ञान आज प्राप्त हुआ है सानू. जी सर. अच्छा ਉਹ ਤੇ ਰੈਪ ओरिजिनल रैप है पंजाबी कल्चर का. एक्चुअली ਉਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਵਿਦਆਊਟ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ. ਸੁੰਦਰ ਮੁੰਦਰੀਏ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੌਣ ਵਿਚਾਰਾ ਅਦੁੱਲਾ ਭੱਟੀ ਵਾਲਾ ਅਦੁੱਲੇ ਧੀ ਵਿਆਹੀ ਬਸੇਰ ਸ਼ੱਕਰ ਪਾਈ. करदा टोटा के फड़ के सिपाही ले गए. सुंदर मुंदरिए हो तेरा कौन बचारा हो. गाओ. सुंदर मुंदरिए हो तेरा कौन बचारा हो दुल्ला भट्टी वाला हो दुल्ले धी ब्याही हो. ये शेर चक्कर पाई हो शेर शक्कर पाई हो कुड़ी का लाल पटाखा हो कुड़ी का सालू बाटा हो सालू कौन समझते हो. ये चाचा काली देसे हो चाचा काली देसे हो चाचे चूरी कुट्टी हो जिमीदार लुट्टी हो जिमीदार सुनाए हो कन कन बोले लाए हो. एक बोला रह गया सपाई पड़ते. There is one reference in this. अब मुझे पता नहीं आप पे कितने लोगों को पता है. दसो हाथ खड़ा करना तुसी. सालू जानते हो किन्ने बंदे जानते हैं सालू की चीज होती है. सालू सालू आजकल नहीं होता वो सालू. मैं 4 लाइना सालू ही दस देना तुहानू. 4 लाइना फिर दिन बीत चले. मां अपने हाथ नाल बुनती सी. ये फुलकारी नहीं है. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵਿਆਹ ਦੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇਹ ਲਾਲ ਰੰਗ ਦਾ ਕਪੜਾ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੁੜੀ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ. ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ men will not enter this transaction at all. ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਕੋਈ ਸਾਲੂ ਦਾ ਰਿਵਾਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਹਾ. ਇਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਮੈਂ 4 ਲਾਈਨਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਾ ਦੂੰ. ਮੈਲੀਨਾਉਸਕੀ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਹੈ? ਨਿਊ ਪਾਪੀਆ ਗਿਨੀ ਦੇ ਤੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੂਲਾਰਿੰਗ ਸਾਲੂ ਸਹਿਜ ਖੰਡਾ ਲੈ Where this Salu is the extension of your being. Sahaj. Sahaj is born with. Salu paya tangane. The daughter takes out the Salu from the trunk, the mementos, and puts it out in the sun. Gavandanu aayi mangane. The woman from the neighborhood eyes it with longing, and she says, such a beautiful Salu. And she says, why don't you give it to me? Ditta kahi na jaan inimaan. Oh mother, I gave it away. I couldn't say no. But you had put it together with such care. Salu tur Kashmir da koi aaya barfan cheer da jana karke ra His threads had come from the innermost core of Kashmir. Knifing their way through the snow, they were determined to go. Salu tur Gujarat da koi main pau pehli raat da ditte tang behar The strands had come from Gujarat, and I was so scared of the first night with the husband, lest he should think that I'm absolutely shameless. Salu tur multan da koi rab dilan diyan jaanda sutti shokal la Salu mera आलदा दूसरी टेक्स्ट में बंगाल कहते हैं कोई महरम नहीं यूं हालदा किस पे आँखां जा सालू मेरा सालू पोछड़ जोड़िया कोई होसी रब दा लोड़िया होर न कीता जा गरीब लोगों का सालू तुसा सपे सालू वालियां तुसा एक भी रख दियां डालियां तुद जेहा कोई ना निमा And Muslim Shah Hussain Salu mera unida My Salu is a bit dreamy. It is full of created sleep. Salu mera unida, koi sham Vrindavan sunida. Asa jana bikhde सालू दा रंग जावना मुड़ फेर न जगते आपना चलना घुम घुमा. Let's get together and go out in a carnival. सालू दा रंग जावना मुड़ फेर न जगते आवना. चले एंड चार्ल्स एंड देखो कैसे लड़ता है, रब दे नाल कितना लड़ाई करता है. कहे हुसैन गदाया कही रात जंगल विच आया. जो पंजाब जिन्होंने पंजाब बारे पता है वो जानते हैं पंजाब दी रातां की सी. कहे हुसैन गदाया कही रात जंगल विच आया. रब डाडा बेपरवाह इनी डॉक्टर साहब डॉक्टरां बारे दो लाइनां दे मैं दो लाइनां सुना के खत्म करना. जाना जाना मैं भी जाना नाल मेरे कोई चले मैं भी जाना जो जन दे मैं भी जाना जो जन पैदी पैदी मिलता कर दे जाना पिया सानू गले मैं भी जाना जो हुण देखो डॉक्टर दो लाइनां राजन यार तबीब सुनेदा राजन यार तबीब सुनेदा मैं तन रोग अबले मैं भी जाना मैं तो सोचा सी ये बना के बह गए ने दो लाइना और सुना देना मैं फिर खत्म करना ये आज दे हालात ने भी डूंगी दुल्ला पुराना Thank you very much. बहुत ज़्यादा गा देता है.
ਮਿਸਿਸ ਬਰਾੜ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮੌਕਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਬੈਠਣ ਦਾ. Believe me, this is the first function in this new year after a gap of about 2.5 years because of coronavirus, and I'm encouraged. We'll continue with your blessings, and thank you very much, and sorry in case you faced any inconvenience. People have come all the way from Gurgaon and other places, and our other general came from Chandigarh all the way. So thank you very much again. Thank you. Please stay connected. Sorry, Madan Gopal ਦੇ ਉਹਦੇ colleagues ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ. ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏ?
ਉਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਗਾਣਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ. It's okay, sir.
ਨਹੀਂ, it's not okay.